let's go back and take a look at the song Doesn't Remain the Same. You know what the song Remain the Same was? That was an album by Led Zeppelin.
Oh.
So, yeah, back in 1933, you know, when I was young.
What was that?
Yes, long ago and far away, when Led Zeppelin was playing songs like Boogie with Stu. So anyway, let's take a look at this. And I'm going to ask you about your music habits, Kellyanne.
Okay.
Because, you know, you were born in 91. So, whoops, I said that out loud. So when Napster was happening in 2000, it wasn't you, it was your parents who were suddenly getting access to free downloads as Napster found itself in court. So let's take a look at what happened here. Back in the early days, vinyl was everything back in 1980. Then there were cassettes for a while because you could bring them in your car. And then you would also do what I did. I had a cassette deck and I would record a bunch of songs on it, made a playlist, but I had to manually record everything on it. And then my cassettes were my playlists. And sometimes you'd buy the album on cassette, but rarely would you do that. Because most of the time cassette, I wouldn't do that because you would go to your friend's car and they would put it in, and if their car was really hot and you went in to watch a movie, you came out and the car was hot, sometimes the cassette player would eat it.
Oh,
so
no.
What just ate was $12 you just paid for, you know, REO Speedwagons. You can tune a piano, but you can't tune a fish.
Oh my
And you're like, ah! So I only bought vinyl, and then I would make my own recordings on cassettes, and those were basically my playlists. And then along came the CD, which was like, they said it was going to be digital vinyl, but it never really sounded as good. I had a great, can't say what I spent on my stuff, but I really spent on a great turntable and a great amp.
Oh, cool.
So that I would have great sound at home. And I always felt that the CD, although they were easy, you could take them in your car, put them in those little like envelopes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, these little plastic envelopes, carry them all with you. But they had their time and they had their run. And take a look at what happened about the time Napster and all the streaming. There was Napster, there was Pirate, there was BearShare. There's a whole bunch of them in there that basically all end up getting shut down. But what happened was streaming, you know, as they said, was the genie was out of the bottle. And streaming was there, and look how quickly from 2000 to 2005, from a $22, $23 billion industry to a $10 billion industry. Now you see why all the artists were so upset. Well, where are we today? Take a look at what's going on. Look at streaming, paid streaming. And for a time, did you ever pay for ringtones on your phone like 99 cents to get your favorite song?
All the time.
Now you don't do that anymore. You pay Apple and then you get all kinds of samples of whatever song you want, as long as you have a subscription to Apple Music. So boom, but you've got then downloading songs and then streaming. So now you get streaming making a comeback and vinyl is in there. Do you have vinyl?
My brother loves vinyl. He has all these shelves and shelves of vinyl and he's obsessed with it. I actually have a lot of friends that are buying vinyl, which is just so weird because you think it's old and yet it is kind of making a comeback, but it doesn't seem to be that big compared to streaming.
You see the headlines, you'd think there's billions of dollars of vinyl being sold.
Yeah, but there's really not compared to streaming.
Yeah, it looks like the song is not as, the actual song is not as loud as the headline, but vinyl's on there. But you can see streaming. And streaming, you know, we have Spotify Family, and I think I also have Apple because I think we get it, and we also have, you know, iCloud subscription.
We have a lot of people.
But what can you end up with? You can end up with what? You have SoundCloud.
SoundCloud, YouTube. We have a lot of people to office
YouTube
that
Music,
have YouTube Music.
Pandora.
Shazam.
Shazam.
There's something called Tidal. Andres was telling us about.
Tidal. Yeah. Look at all these. So you have all these places you can get streaming, and now you hear about all the artists being upset because, you know, they only get 1/10 of a penny per song, you know, unless you're Taylor Swift and you get all the money.
And she just redoes her whole album.
Right. It's like eras of money, you know. It's just like, wow. But anyway, that's what's going on in streaming. So there's another lesson in there about life cycle, but there's life cycle affected by external variables. You know, streaming destroyed the music industry, and then it had to make it come back because all of a sudden people got it for free, and the artists had a right to be upset. But if you're playing in that space and you're in music, you may not be the reason that something shifted. You may not have done anything, but you may still be having your industry affected by external variables. So I always tell people, how much time do you spend a week just doing a little bit of research? Biz Doc does it on Sundays, and Patrick Bet-David and I will trade text on Sundays, and he knows when I get home from church or in the morning before we go, boom, I'll send some links back and forth of things that I've seen that's sort of interesting, because that's when I chill. And for me, that's kind of like, you know, a cup of coffee and running through that stuff. It's interesting to me. It's like you know, I don't read fiction books, so I don't read novels or anything like that. I'll read books with a purpose. And this is like book reading for me. It's like casual. But you also need to be doing it and keep your eyes on the external variables as well as the economic variables, like we talked about bankruptcy, as well as the life cycles of your own company. Hope that was helpful.